Okay, I want to talk about the train industry. We've talked many times. We had former Massachusetts Governor Michael Dukakis on the show, who was on the board of Amtrak. We have talked about how far behind Europe and Asia, in many parts of Asia, the U.S. is in terms of trains, have we not?
Oh, yeah.
You've traveled in Europe on trains.
Right.
Very fast.
Fast, efficient.
Comfortable.
Comfortable, relatively inexpensive.
Okay. So we've talked many, many times about why don't we have a better train system in the U.S., have we not? Mm-hmm. And there's a number of factors at play here. Now, I saw there's a project that's been proposed. It wants to go from Boston to New York City with new track in 80-something minutes, and from New York City to Washington, D.C. in 95 minutes through Philadelphia. This would be fantastic. Okay. Well, how much will it cost? How long will it take? If we started right now, this is a 25-year project. 25 years. And what I've been told by a couple different people, including a friend of ours who works for Amtrak and doing some research, is that the way this would work is the current track is not equipped to handle 150 mile per hour average speed trains. There's this Acela, which can reach 150, but it basically never does. I think it averages 80-something miles an hour. You would need to start building a second track right next to the ones that exist now. This is going to take forever. 25 years, literally. And it's pathetic how far behind we are. And there's a number of factors at play here. Number one, politicians in the Midwest don't want to fund it. Who will use these things, they're saying? Because the population density is so much lower there, many of these politicians don't see an incentive to fund it. Okay. Well,
that's a reasonable concern.
It's a reasonable concern, but there's many other more mischievous factors at play. For example, what would happen if trains get faster? The incentive to drive continues to go away. So obviously the automobile lobby doesn't want faster trains. That's the last thing they would want. And by the way, if trains were faster, a lot of short flights aren't going to be as popular, are they? Or they would have to be much cheaper. Perfect example. Our local airport is in Hartford, Connecticut. It's about a 45-minute flight to go to Washington, D.C. It's about a 7.5-hour train ride. Right now, when I go to Washington, D.C., I don't even think about the train. It is less expensive, but who really wants to spend 7.5 hours on a train? You get to Hartford Airport. It's about a 35-minute drive from here. You get there 45 minutes before your flight leaves. It's a 45-minute ride. It makes sense. It really does make sense. If the train was 30, 40, 50% faster, I'm not going to be flying anymore, am I? I mean, do you come down in the same way?
Right.
So if you have faster trains, as we see in Europe, you're going to start putting price pressure on a lot of those short flights. And that's happened in Europe. I mean, we've got Ryanair, there's EasyJet. There are very, very cheap flights for flights between cities in Europe, as we know. Mm-hmm. Now, we claim to be about capitalism. We claim to be about free markets here in the United States. But we are heavily protecting the automobile and airline industries by really making it difficult for trains to be faster. We're not funding it. There's questions about who owns each stretch of where the tracks go. There's a lot of things standing in the way, and it's certainly not a free market, is it?
I think just because of the sheer size of our country, if we were to implement some type of high-speed train system, yeah, I don't really think the automobile industry would suffer.
Well, but we're talking about, let's look at the Northeast market. Fine, you're still going to fly if you go to Los Angeles from Boston, but we're talking about Boston to New York City in 80-something minutes. Mm-hmm. That is going to affect the automobile industry for sure, and certainly the airline industry.
Well, right now we can still take a train from where we live to New York City.
Yeah.
And it takes what?
3 hours.
3 hours.
On the
right.
dot, yeah.
And, I mean, is it that big a difference? Are that many more people going to take a train that takes an hour and a half as opposed to 3 hours?
Yeah, absolutely. I would.
You think so?
Yeah, of course. It's a big difference.
And pay a lot more for it?
Well, that's right. We don't know how much train ticket prices will go up if this happens. I haven't seen any data on that. We're going to keep watching this. I would love to hear from people. If you have a car but don't use it much, if the trains were 50% faster, would you get rid of that car? So we'll take a break. We'll come back. I want to talk about Sarah Palin's Alaska and a lot of other things still going on. DavidPakman.com is the website. We'll be back after this.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
The David Pakman Show is made possible by listeners like you and by Greenfield Savings Bank, building a strong community one account at a time, with neighborhood offices in Greenfield, Amherst, Conway, Shelburne Falls, South Deerfield, and Turners Falls, and online at greenfieldsavings.com. By the Daily Hampshire Gazette and GazetteNet.com, connecting our communities with local news and information. By DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at DIFdesign.com. Find out more about underwriting The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.